Yeah, forgot about that. Yeah, so the properties are information that get attached to things. So first of all, there's like, is that what types of things are these pieces of information going to be attached to? So the classification is the definition of what this thing is. It's a door because it's classified as a door. Well,
Hmm.
if it's classified as a door, then door type is going to be attached to that. And let's just use door type as an example here. So this is an information piece that gets attached to all of our doors. So if I say OK, and then go into the scheme settings here and add that field in here, collapse this back down. So under properties, right, we go to our property door schedules and we can go to door type. We'll add that in here. And let's just put it right there. So this would be, actually, let's undo the merge. So this would be divided light. Um, let's say that this is shaker style, whatever. This would be, oh, it's probably, if they're not reserved, then I can't actually edit them. Anyway, so once I get all of that sorted out and then merge them back, then it's going to say that those two are two different doors because I've defined those. So you don't
I
even have to
see.
worry about the actual operation at that point. Like if I said that this was shaker style, it could potentially, yeah. So it would actually identify those two things as, I'd have to go back and add that back in. But yeah, so that's basically how that works.
Got it. Okay, cool. That's great. I don't know, Hide, if you've been interested in wanting to use a legend like this in your door schedule or not, but it's been kind of something I've been considering recently.
Yeah, I think we can have it, but just the problem is just like, the question is like, is that going to be, are we duplicating our informations? Because, the door you should be able to see on the interior elevation or exterior elevation. It's
Hmm.
cumbersome if you're trying to use our elevations and stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, but it will update here along with the elevation. So the only danger of redundancy is that if you issue, let's say, a revision, um, you'd have to update and revise. You'd have to submit revisions for the schedules and legends sheet as well as the elevation sheets.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But they are all tied together. So if I were to go to this door, for example, and say that it's actually going to use this other door type right here, right? That's going to update on the elevation, but it also updates here.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay.
The reason that I like this is like if you're using something in your legend, like maybe it doesn't say divided light, maybe this is leaf type A or door type A, and this is door type
Right.
B, and this is door type C. There's nothing unless you're asking the contractor to go from or the builder to go from his legends sheet or his schedule sheet over to the elevation and back and forth and back and forth. What does A mean? Where is that door? Whereas like this legend would literally sit right below the door schedule, and you could say, oh, well, C looks
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, would it be possible for you to incorporate this into the template or refine it within the template?
Yeah, I can get this dialed in for the door legends and window legends, right? Because we do have both. Um, and just like with the schedule for the legend for the doors, this would probably be something where maybe we're like this is fixed at quarter-inch scale and it's gonna be on the top, so all of our headers line up. And obviously there's gonna be exceptions where like all of your headers are not gonna be at 8 feet or whatever.
Hmm. Right.
But yeah, I can take a pass at dialing this in. Do you want the doors to default to using like door type A, B, C, D, etc.?
I think that that would make sense to me.
Okay.
And maybe instead of calling it door type, I would call it style. Yeah. And is there a possibility of like within the door schedule that it can pick up this information that it's automatically filling out the
Yep.
column?
Yep. So that would be yeah, so you can see right here it's actually already updated So I changed the door leaf or the door style here
Mm-hmm.
because that information actually lives in that door setting. So great room door D100 is door style C because I changed it in the door legend. And
Mm-hmm.
that also works like let's say I wanted this to be something else, I can go into the door settings directly and down here classifications and properties, I could find that door type right here and say that this is going to be door type Z. So the nice
Got
thing
it.
about that is like that's actually one of the most efficient ways because then you're not going line by line in the schedule. I can grab all of my swing doors here
Right.
and know that like these all have to show as the same style, right? So then I reserve those. I go to the settings and I say that these are our door style. Where are we at here? Okay, so it's classified as a door, which means that that information will be attached here. Um, door type, and we'll call that, I don't know, F, just something that sends out. Right, so now those are all unified together and going to show as door type F in the legend.
Very cool.
Yeah, and those all, I mean, translates through everywhere that that information shows up now. So these doors both show as type F.
Okay. But you're still having to input it through the floor plan,
You can
right?
input it in
Identifying.
the, well, that's the great thing about it is you can input it in the door settings in the floor plan or 3D or elevation.
Mhm.
And anywhere you can select that door, you can edit the settings. Or you can input it directly in the schedule. So if I know that this door needs to be type whatever XYZ, if that door is reserved, I can't edit it because it's not reserved.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they don't give you a reserve function, but come back into here and reserve it and say that this is going to be door type, whatever.
Yeah. I guess what I'm really asking is like I don't mind the different ways that you can input it. It's more like is it possible that that door is like saved as a favorite with door style A and I just place it on the plan and automatically it's populating the schedule with that information? Like I'm trying to make efficient the production of like having to go through and identify the styles within if it could automatically be a thing.
Trying to think of the most efficient way to do that. Because I mean, to do that, you would have to have a favorite for every single different style. And I think at that
Yeah,
point, it's like a part-time job just trying to maintain and manage your favorites over the life of the template. Um,
sure.
So I think that the easiest and best way to manage it would probably be through that door the door legend because you can uncheck this, see all the doors in the project and say, okay, well this is not a type E, this is a type whatever, this is not,
Yeah,
so you can see all the doors, you can renumber, rename, identify them, and then remerge
okay.
back together when you're done.
Okay, that makes sense. And then if I were to say like I placed all these doors in and then I'm looking at this legend and I look at door style E and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's supposed to be door style F.
Mhm.
Um, how like it's just changing that letter and then it will automatically change that specific door to that same
So
style.
it's if style F means that we have these rails and styles around the door,
Right.
changing this letter does not change that. So you'd have to basically you select the door here, you say show that in floor plan, go
Okay.
to the settings of that door, and change the panel type
Got it.
or whatever the setting was that was supposed to show that.
Okay. And you can't change the door from here. You have to go to the floor
Unfortunately,
plan.
no, there's no like there's no edit the door set. You can edit the information that's scheduling to that door, but you can't edit the actual settings of the door.
Okay. Can you bring that to Budapest?
Yeah.
That would be great.
Let me hold on, let me pull up my my list of because I'm gonna forget about it, but I do have a running list of things that let's see.
Mark, I'm a little hesitant of using door type symbol, just
Uh-huh.
because we're gonna order just flash panel and maybe single panel. Uh, are you trying to do this just because of LD? Because if we are dealing with ordering like coordinations like this, that's times that we can possibly use it like a Google Sheet or I'm not sure if we need to have this door agent like that
Mhm.
goes out for pricing purpose, because we're gonna end up like selecting like a door types or go Simpson catalogs and pick like a few different model. And my hesitation here is just like I think we are making this door symbol or door schedule a little
Mhm.
like it's
Cumbersome.
at the layers that it's gonna be hard to change at the field and talk to the door shops and
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's more useful
you know
for
what I'm
like
saying?
projects where maybe you have your interior door package, for example. Because yeah, you're right. Like a lot of the exterior door units, especially sort of shop manufactured pre-hung kind of units, Simpson, Geldwin, whatever. Um, you're ordering per the serial number, model number, whatever. But for like cases where maybe you have a solid core slab 20-minute rated fire door, but your typical door is maybe like more of a shaker style, single panel, three panel, eight panel, something like that.
Mhm.
Differentiating between those different door styles and saying that door style A is a simple slab, door style B has that three panel style. Um, but you're right, that also shows on the interior elevation. It's just a matter of do you want to provide that information all in one place?
Yeah. Well, I think what Hide's saying is that we typically only do slab doors.
Mm.
And so we don't necessarily need this because there's just never really that many occurrences of different styles.
Right.
And I am requesting this for my project LD, which is every single door is a different style. And and I just
Yeah.
needed this specifically for that.
Yeah, I
And
think
I'm kind of advocating for like, let's bring this into the template and make it more consistent. But I think you're bringing up a good point, Hide. Um, but I wonder if it's just maybe it's good to have just there, and if you don't use the legend, we can just remove it. In case this were to come up again. I don't know what's the best way of future proofing.
yeah, so if you can somehow easy to like, differentiate styles or, door types or whatever, however you want to say it, is
Hmm.
just, make that back to simple flash
Yeah.
panels, one panel, if we can carefully develop that's fine. I think that should be
Yeah,
fine.
I mean,
Okay.
the reality is if 90% of your projects are just simple slab doors, you wouldn't use this legend. So maybe the
Mhm.
legend doesn't even show up on the sheet with the template, but it lives here in the project map so that when you
Sure.
do
Yeah,
need
yeah.
it, you're not reinventing the wheel here, right? You're just saying, oh, we have this legend. I just need to save that into my view map and then dump it on a sheet and then double check
Sure.
that it's populated correctly.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
But in that,
Yeah.
that same vein, right, you would then, if you're not showing the legend, then the style column would just go away.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of like sort of project startup maintenance management that needs to happen there.
That
Right.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so many like project specific needs. It's hard to get all of that baked into one template. But I think knowing that that's there, and knowing that you're probably not going to need it for an average project, but when you do, for those projects where every door is its own thing.
Yeah.
You have 15 different door slab types or door panel types.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe there's also enough for between just me and Hide to just look at what we want for the door schedule.
Hmm.
Just because on my side, I have reference drawings from other architects within our office where it's just discrepancies. And so I think we just need to align on what makes sense.
Okay. Um, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Okay.
because I think that this was stuff that was just sort of already sort of preordained before I ever started working on anything. But
Right. Yeah.
like you said, there's probably a lot in here that doesn't need to be. Maybe there's stuff in here that we don't have that we do need. Oh yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
what the window schedule shows. Like do we
Okay.
have egress opening size? But the unfortunate thing is a lot of things in the schedules are manual input. Like the door and window detail call outs, that's manual coordination. There's nothing that links this to a
Um,
drawing on a sheet. That's been a long-standing request, and again, another thing that I'm taking to Budapest. Um, so
Good.
yeah.
Okay. The other thing that I was curious about was just like just floor plan display settings based on that transom window that you were talking about.
Mhm.
Um, I was just wondering if we could go through that. I don't know if it's an easy thing for us to just pop into, or if you would need to like set up a.
Yeah, we can review that. So let's see. Do I have any? Yeah, I've got a window right here. So let's just take a look. Like if there's like a clerestory or something like that. Like if we look at this wall and this window. There's a bunch of stuff here. So if this were a clerestory window where it's like overhead, and maybe
Uh-huh.
it sits like over a door or something like that, right? That might be something that you want to show on your floor plan. Maybe you don't want it if it's an interior partition or something like that, maybe you don't want to show it. But if we look at this in floor plan here, right, you're going to be able to see the door and the window together.
Mm-hmm.
Click on it. Might need to actually move that off to the side. Anyway, you can see it there. So the trick is to make sure that the window and the wall actually are set under your floor plan display settings. So let's say that this is projected rather than symbolic. Um, and then we'll set the wall to be cut only. Let's see, cut only. And because that window is not being cut through, it's not going to show.
Uh-huh.
We come back into 3D, and I just want to make sure that this is all the way up to here. Now, let's say that we want to show a clerestory plan that cuts through at whatever that height is, like we'll say 8 feet up. So if I want a clerestory plan that maybe excludes this door but includes this, you can under view setting. So let's say right click, save current view. I'm just going to dump it in this random. The floor plan cut plane is a view setting. So we could say that the cut plane is at 8.5 feet. We don't care about how many stories we're showing up. We'll just say current story only. We'll say okay. Right. So now we don't see the door, but we see that we see the window there.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to show the door in this, unfortunately, you can't say this is projected with overhead, symbolic, etc. on one view, but not on another, because this is in the actual wall settings. If I
Mm-hmm.
set symbolic cut, then that's going to show there, but then it's also the window's also going to show below.
Yeah.
So there are some limitations there in terms of how you can manage that. But the main thing is that if you only want to see what's cut through, you change the wall to cut only. And then you're basically managing based on whether or not the particular view has its floor plan cut plane
Mm-hmm.
running through that portion of the wall or not.
Right. Yeah, Alex, who you referred us to, kind of showed me the power of like the cut plane. I
Mhm.
didn't really like know that very well. But one thing that I didn't really understand is like the difference between projected and overhead and all of those settings. I just don't really know what I'm trying to do with each of those.
Sure. So in the wall settings here, right? So with walls in particular, they're very limited. They can be home story only or all relevant stories. A relevant story is any story that wall cuts through the plan's floor plan cut plane.
Hmm.
So, for example, I could have a wall that's relevant to my mezzanine plan, but not relevant to my first floor plan on the mezzanine floor plan, and vice
Hmm.
versa, so that I don't have to have extra stories just because I have a mezzanine, as an example. So I can say relevant stories, or home story only, which would be like it's only going to show on the story with which it's hosted, regardless of what the floor plan cut plane settings are.
Hmm.
Now we have the floor plan display options, and that's where we could say it's projected. In the wall settings, that means it is the literal projection of that wall. Versus, sorry, I got a fly buzzing around me here. Projected with overhead would indicate that, let me just take a wall here as an example, and we'll say that this is projected with overhead, right? Our floor plan cut plane right now is at 4 feet. So if I bump this up 8 feet, it shows dashed because it's overhead.
I
The
see.
same overhead wall, if it's just projected, goes away because
Okay.
it's
So
not
go
tied
back to that
to
setting again.
Huh?
Projected with overhead and cut only. So if it was projected, it wouldn't show anything.
It only shows if it's within the floor plan projection. Yeah, it's that part is a bit cryptic, but it is tied to the view settings. It is tied to the floor plan setting, and it's the relative display range of that floor plan. So if I
Okay.
were to say show above and set that height to include that limit, projected could hypothetically show up. Now, all of these are not necessarily useful, right? Overhead all, maybe. Outlines, I like to use outlines for things like roofs and slabs where maybe they have way too much detail and I just want to show the outline. Or
Yeah.
say it's a well, let's go here. Like another instance would be like if I had a not linked and we'll put this at 0, we'll make it a 4 foot or 5 foot. Maybe it's like a 5 foot high wing wall or something like that, partition wall. That's going to show cut through, but I don't necessarily want to show it cut through. If it's like maybe a tub wall or something that doesn't extend all the way to my ceiling, I
Mhm.
want to show that as partial height. So I'm going to say that's outlines only. So you basically are eliminating the cut fills that way. Symbolic cut is going to show cut through no matter what. If I were to bump this up to 10 feet, for example, right, this is way above my cut plane, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to show that cut through no matter what.
Mhm.
I use that if you have like multiple buildings. Let's say you do like you've got your main building and maybe you've got like a spa building or a yoga studio or something off to the side and it's sitting 10 feet below, but you don't have a dedicated story for it. You want to see that yoga studio on the same as your main floor plan. So
Mhm.
you would say that those are going to be symbolic cuts. So it doesn't matter how high or low you move them, they're always going to show cut through.
Mm.
Cut only is probably the default that I put for most of my walls, just because I have more control over how things appear from one plan to the next based on the floor plan cut plane. Cut only is only showing where the plan is cut, where the wall is cut through. So cut only here, it doesn't show up because do a marquee around this, right? It doesn't show because it's way up here, way above the
Mhm.
cut plane.
Mhm.
Versus symbolic cut, where it's going to show it's going to show cut through no matter what. Or outlines only will show no matter what, but it's not going to show with the cut.
Mhm.
But this wall being an overhead wall, I would probably set it to project it with overhead so that when it's overhead, it's going to show dashed, and when it's not
Right.
overhead, it's going to show solid.
Yeah. And can you control the line type of that overhead dash?
The overhead line type is right here. Yeah. So
Got
we
it.
could
Okay.
say that overhead is, if I change that here, it's in the wall settings.
I see. Okay, cool. So like you mentioned like a mezzanine kind of like being a really good example of like kind of all of these options. Would like a split level house also be kind of the same thing, or would you recommend like different stories for that?
So my general rule on stories for split levels, if the split levels are more than 42 inches apart, I usually show them on separate stories. And that
Okay.
has more to do with this weird like nuance in ArchiCAD tied to the schedules, just to come full circle to where we started. So if your door schedules are pulling room names, um, and I believe that it's mostly with doors, not with windows. But if they're pulling room names and that wall is hosted more than 42 inches above or below the home story, the host story, that can become disassociated. Um, so if we take this, for example, this wall right here, and let's bump this up 6 feet. maybe we've got a 6 foot. So first of all, it goes missing, but it may also disassociate from that zone. It doesn't look like it's having trouble with that right now, but I have seen that happen before. Um,
Mhm.
Another thing about that is it also makes it really easy to know that you're modeling those slabs, those walls, those furniture pieces at 0 to home story. So if we were to like sketch out, for example, a split level where you've got maybe like a 48-inch drop between your 2 stories, you could technically show that all as one floor plan, but maybe launch it as or host it as 2 separate stories, right? So you could say like this is my building section here, and I've got main floor here, and I've got um, upper level here or whatever. So what I can do there is I could say that my floor plan cut plane is if this is project 0 and this is +4, I could say my floor plan cut plane is at 5.5 feet, right? And that's gonna, sections on Loki. But if my floor plan cut plane runs here, then I'm gonna show everything that's up here and here all on one
Mhm.
plan.
Right.
So that
Useful.
would be a project specific kind of condition where you want to like kind of tailor the template to figure out what that split is. And like I said, if that split is more than 42 inches, that's usually where I start looking at needing an extra story.
Uh-huh. Gotcha.
But you can also think about it like if you have in your building section, um, you've got a garage that maybe sits 6 inches or even 18 inches below the main floor. You don't have a separate story just for that little offset,
Right.
right? It's just that your garage slab sits at -6 to home story.
Right. Makes sense.
Um, Another like I mean it's sort of antiquated, outdated design, but it still pops up, especially on remodels where you have like a sunken living room that's down like 3 steps or something like that, right? Like that would be like definitely all on the same story.
Hmm.
But if you're built into a hillside where you've got like a story and then it steps up a little bit for the next story, I might consider doing an extra story for here and here, depending.
How about the backyard though? Like, do we have backyard story?
No, because all of the exterior stuff all goes, regardless of whether it's right, if there's site stuff that's up here versus site stuff that's down here, all goes on the same story.
Oh, I see.
And usually, I mean, that could also be another sort of project specific discussion, but that's usually I put the site stuff typically on the first floor. I do know some firms prefer to have a whole story dedicated to just the site content. But I usually want to see like what's on the main floor or my project 0 related to the site content, site information.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. I was also curious. I don't know, Hide, if you had anything that you wanted to review, but I do have a list of
Yeah,
specific
go ahead.
things.
I have a few items I need Patrick's
Okay.
input.
Okay. Mine can wait. So if you want to go and review yours, that's fine.
Sure. Let's see. Let me just share my screen.
Mhm.
So I'm working with two other guys, like one the new guys ish at the building lab, and then one drafter, Beam Biz, that you referred as well.
Mhm.
Uh, and then I'm kind of having like I think a layer combination issue, like keep popping up. And one things I want to get like maybe clear direction how to manage is, like we have this view map layer combinations and we have these elevations, but elevation is only like existing. Is that existing or just one layer combination for to show existing and new? And then floor has like new and then existing slash demo combinations. And how am I like managing like those view setting because I think the way you let's see. Oops. Are you seeing my screen? Sorry.
I've got your browser, but not your ArchiCAD.
Oh, wonder why. Shoot. Yeah. Can you see my ArchiCAD?
No.
No.
No. Okay. All right. Sharing the screen. Here you go.
Yep, there we got ArchiCAD open.
Wow.
Yeah, so with regards to remodel projects, we do actually need layer combinations for existing demo floor plans and new floor plans. That's going to very soon become obsolete, though. The reason that we have
Right.
those is more about the markers than anything because door or sorry, the section elevation markers don't have a renovation status.
Right.
Um, that said, ArchiCAD 29 coming out next month,
Right.
that's a feature that they've added.
Hmm.
So we'll be able to just say floor plans, and then everything is essentially managed by the renovation status of everything.
Right.
So you don't have to have separate annotations, separate layer combinations, separate uh, um, view settings for existing demo and new. It's all going to be through the renovation status.
Right. I see. So then how are we having them to use like a annotation layer for existing and new? Like is that
That should actually be something that we can strip out of the template because you don't need like labels, dimensions, all of that stuff that you might need to be like demo annotation, remove wall, whatever, retain Jitboard here, whatever annotation you need on your existing and demo plans can
right,
have or should have a renovation status.
right.
So if it's set to demo, it's only going to show on the demo plan.
That's right. Yeah, I see. That now that makes sense. So okay, got it. Okay.
And that could be something that we could strip out of the template
Okay.
as well. Because
Got
well, maybe that's something that yeah, because I'm seeing like markers existing demo, elevation section new. So maybe when we start moving into 29, maybe that's like the step one for 29 template is to start
okay.
aligning that stuff more towards
Okay.
using the renovation status and not the layers.
Got it. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay. Uh, let's see what else. Let me find the file. Marco, if you're ready, you go ahead.
Okay. Um, I was curious if it's easy. I can't remember if I asked this last week or not, but I was curious if we can easily reference the outline of skylights on RCPs. So that because typically or not necessarily RCP, but like on a floor plan, like I'll reference the skylight up above with the dashed line. And
Right.
right now I use a polyline, and so then I have to go through the extra effort of changing it if I decide I want a different size skylight or relocate it or something.
Yeah, and I think I don't have a good solution for that, honestly, because well, talking about like the floor plan display options, right? You can technically show a roof on the story below,
Mhm.
but it's an all or nothing solution. There's no like show just the skylight portion.
I
Uh,
see.
I just use a polyline.
Okay.
Thinking on the projects I work on though, at most they have 3 or 4 skylights. So just use a trace reference and draw out a polyline. The
Okay.
other thing that happens often, and I think that this came up in that video on the skylights that I did, is that you
Mhm.
don't have just the roof, right? You've got the roof and then everything that sits below that roof as well, all the way to the ceiling. And that's usually at least a couple of different slabs, maybe some walls for the skylight.
Mhm.
So if you do have like a roof depth and you've got your skylight well cutting through that with walls, you could host those walls on the first floor, put them on the ceiling layer, and then show them as overhead alls so that they show just the dashed lines.
Hmm.
You could use the walls that are actually forming that gypboard or wood skylight
Oh,
well running through the roof as your skylight.
interesting. Yeah. Okay. Would you also mind setting up for one of these to go through like modeling roofs?
Yeah.
I think that would be really helpful, especially how you've set it up in the template. I like what it's there, but I want to make sure I'm using it correctly.
Yeah, we could do that. Actually, let me look at my calendar because I'm losing track of the. I do think I'm here next week. I think it's the week after that I'm taking off. Yeah, so I'll be here next Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm leaving that Saturday. So next Tuesday, let's just go through like basic. We also talked about modeling site elements and stuff like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we do like a training session. We'll jam on roof assemblies, roof and ceiling assemblies,
Mm-hmm.
and site components, meshes, slabs, everything involved with, things, basic things like curb cuts, sidewalks, paths, site walls.
Great. I think foundation would be good too.
Yeah, we could probably, I mean, in an hour's time, we could probably do like three 10 to 15 minute jam sessions and just kind of go through the basics on each of those. Um, I mean, any one of those could be like an hour lecture on their own, but obviously, like you guys, you're not starting from scratch here. So, like, just kind of giving you
Right.
some framework for where to explore and what to look at.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Cool.
Patrick, another one from me is the work environment. You show me like, don't save with the over with the same name.
Hmm.
And I keep like renaming to 28.123 whatever like adjustment happen. And then is that setting belongs only one file, or is that gonna be like can we see on the
Yeah, it should
like
be, it's stored on your computer in the application support files, the cache files.
uh,
Um, you do have to make sure that you're checking the box to set as default. So you apply that you save the work environment as a new work environment, set as default, and apply settings. And what that does is now if you do have multiple files open when you make those changes, it's not going to change the work environment for all open files. But next time you
mm,
restart your computer and open a file, every file from then on is going to use that work environment as the default.
mm, okay. Because I'm like having the issue of like I have like when I open like different files I see like 28.3, but when I open it like I see only like 28.1 setting. So
Oh,
uh maybe I'm
you're on a Mac or a PC?
on the Mac.
Okay, I'm gonna Slack you some instructions. So what I want you to do is under your work environment manager, there's a way that you can save the work environment to your desktop.
Okay.
Save the work environment to your desktop, and then run through the preferences cleanups. Um, which is going I suspect that there's probably something in those application folders that a lot of times what happens is something will be named and it'll be duplicated or redundant, or it'll have a name that has like a special character for some reason and it just can't sync it up. And it causes these kinds of weird glitches.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be super sweet.
So this I'm gonna Slack this to you right now. And this is something I do probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times a year. And it's literally just going through the application support folders and deleting files out. They get
Yeah.
rebuilt uh, as soon as you open ArchiCAD again. But make sure you don't have any instance of ArchiCAD open when you run the preference cleanup,
Yeah.
and that should kind of kick this and get rid of this glitch.
Yeah.
So save a work environment to your desktop,
Mhm.
close out of ArchiCAD, and then run the preference cleanups, restart your computer, and then you can import that work environment back in.
All right, great. All right. That's great.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Marco?
I don't think so. I think that's caught up on my list.
Okay. I'll keep chipping away at those legends. I should be able to get those done today or tomorrow. And then I'll try to get something drafted up on some of the roof, ceiling, site, and foundation basics. Maybe just some like bullet points of because there's those are sorts of things where I mean, there's probably 100 different ways to manage any one of those, or
Mhm.
any even aspect of one of those. But maybe there's like a pros and cons chart that I can write up on, like, using slabs versus beams for footings kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Okay.
All right.
Well, have a great afternoon. Let me know if anything else comes up between now and next week. Otherwise, I'll see you in a few days.
That's
All
good.
right,
Thank
sounds
you.
good.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Patrick.
Bye.